Okay, so we're going to go in 3, 2, 1. Lions Lounge Lockdown, episode 48. Johnny Garton. John, thanks for joining us, mate.
Thank you for having me.
Love the shirt, mate. Love the shirt.
I've put it on especially for you today.
Cheers, mate. How you been? How's lockdown been treating you?
It hasn't really affected me, to be honest. I've still been going about normal business. I shouldn't really say that, but I'm you're not obviously seeing as many people, but I'm still going to see my mum, take the kids to see my mum. And apart from shops not being open, that's the only problem. But it's not really bothered me. I'm working and getting on with it, really.
Good luck to my feet. Everyone's had enough, absolutely had enough now, haven't they? Right. So let's go back to the very beginning. Born in Dulwich, 1987.
Well, I was born. Well, I've always lived in Peckham, but I was born in Dulwich Hospital.
Yeah.
But because I had to phone my mum a minute ago because I shared your post, and then I see my uncle said he wasn't born in Dulwich, and I phoned him up. I went, I'm sure I was born in Dulwich. She went, yeah, you was Dulwich Hospital. I went, yeah, John said I weren't, and then she was like, my sister was born in Kings. I was born in Dulwich.
Right. Born in Dulwich Hospital and grew up in Peckham. What was it like as a youngster growing up in the 90s in Peckham?
Loved it. We weren't all these computers and sitting indoors. It was out on the estate. It was growing up on my estate. There was loads of us. There was just kids everywhere. Everyone knew each other, and it's just go out the front door and just run around and rob riot, and that was it really. Just causing trouble.
When did you first realise that like Millwall was a thing, an actual existing thing that you sort of your family and your friends were going to? Do you remember that?
A little bit, not great if I'm honest. My mum used to take because my mum was a single parent growing up, and so she used to take me Millwall with one of her mates, and obviously their boy, and then she used to take not every week, but pretty much whenever we had a home game, try and get us down there. And then she stopped taking me when we had Chelsea at home. We drew with Chelsea at home in the cup.
Yeah, 0-0. 1995 that was. I was 15. I remember that.
That was it, yeah. I think I was about 7 or 8, something like that.
Yeah. And
it kicked off bad. And it was right where we were sitting. So then after that, Mum stopped taking me then. And then obviously I used to just try and go with other people's dads and this, that and the other. And I got to a bit older and just started going with some of the boys from the estate. And it just went from there, really.
Did you have any heroes, Millwall heroes, growing up, players-wise?
It's got to be like me. It's got to be Cahill. I used to love Ifill as well. But that was like my sort of team, like Cahill, Ifill. Obviously Paul Shaw, skinhead. So I used to like Paul Shaw.
Oh, because he had a skinhead.
Yeah.
He was a great player, though, wasn't he? Great striker.
He was, yeah, great striker. And obviously you can't miss out Neil Harris, an absolute legend. But yeah.
What was you any good yourself at football growing up?
Not really. I was an okay goalkeeper, but I weren't really that great. And then I stopped playing when I was about 15, and then just went into being a little teenager and a little shit, basically.
An interesting one, because you didn't get into boxing till you was 18. You're the second person I spoke to today that got into what they did very, very late. What made you go down that route and get into boxing?
Basically, I was out drinking pretty much all the time. I think I started going out from when I was about 15, 16. I used to say to my mum, stay at someone's house and just nip down the world upside down or the scene or something like that. And so I was drinking, eating crap, getting into fights. And then my mate said he started going down to Lynn AC on the end of Burgess Park.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I'll come down with you. So I went down there a couple of times, and after a few weeks, a few of the boys said, do you want to fancy a spar? So me thinking, I'm a kid from Peckham where I can have a go. I got in there and got absolutely battered. Boxing, it's not just the scrap, there's a lot more to it. So, they absolutely battered me. And then me being a little street kid, I thought, I'm going to go back and do them. So kept going back, kept getting beat up. And then over time, I started noticing more people want to spar me. And then I was getting beat up even more. But then slowly it faded out where people didn't want to spar me as much. And obviously I was getting better and better. And my old coach, Terry Palmer, he gave me a big speech one day, like, I'll have a fight. And I said, no, I can't really be arsed. I just want to come down here, train. I enjoy being in the gym. And he gave me a big speech, and I said, right, I'll have a fight. I think it turned out my first 7 attempts to have a fight all got cancelled. I went there, weighed in, and they all got cancelled just due to different things, opponents not turning up, weight difference, etc. They said, what we'd do, we'd just throw you into a novice championships. So I went, all right, yeah. So I got into the championships, weighed in for the South East divs. Didn't have no one for me to fight. So I then got through to the London quarterfinals or something like that. Yeah. And then I boxed. Who did I box? I boxed some Russian kid. Because I've always liked boxing because my cousin used to box when I was younger. And my cousin boxed an unlicensed fight for a European title. And then obviously when I had my first bout, and obviously I boxed this Russian kid who he beat for the European title. And that was my first fight, and I bashed him up. And then they went, you're through to the semi-finals tomorrow night. And I went, what do you mean tomorrow? And I went, yeah, you got to fight again tomorrow. And I went back next day and got beat. But it just took off from there, really. Do
you think it's like the second night you got beat, do you think that could have been just a bit of a inexperienced fitness thing maybe or something? Just weren't prepped for 2 nights on the bounce?
Yeah, I suppose so. I was just... the kid, he was a good kid. He was good. He was very skillful. But then I went on to beat him a couple of months after that. So it was good. But I think the winning is winning the fight. I was addicted then, and also losing. I hate losing. Yeah. And that put a bit of taste in me. So I thought I'm gonna have a couple more fights. And I had a couple more fights. Won them. Then I had that the fella that beat me. What was his name? David Groom from Elsfield, I'm never forgetting David Groom. He beat me. Then I fought him a couple of months later in another championships in the final when I beat him.
Right, quality. So at this point, you're sort of a teenager, a little bit of an Herbert. Did you find that getting into boxing sort of give you a little bit of a purpose and settled you down a bit?
Not really, because at that time I weren't really taking it serious. I was doing it with enjoyment. So I was going training 3 days a week, sometimes 2 days a week. Then fighting whenever I got a chance, and then I was going out on the piss on the weekends. And it weren't until I think the year after, or no, a couple of years after, I boxed in a London Championship fight with a geezer from Epsom, I can't remember his name, but we literally had an absolute tear up. And then after the fight, we both had to lay down. We was both knackered. And I thought to myself, you either got to take this seriously and knuckle down, or call it day now. So and then from there...
Did you have a full-time job at this point?
Yeah, I was working, but I think I was an apprentice at the time.
Right. So then when you make this transition between professional and amateur, do you have to get, how'd you go about that? Do you have to get, you have to be good, obviously. Not anyone can just do it. Do you have to get sponsored? Do you have to give up work? Or as it work in a boxing, as I was saying to you off screen, it's different to football, isn't it? Everything seems a lot harder. It's a lot less high profile, not being rude, but if you become a footballer, it's so easy. They get all the dough, all the cars, all the everything, don't they? But
yeah.
Boxing especially is noted for not just being a hard sport, but one that takes a lot of endeavour to get into properly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, when I first turned pro, I was 24, so I was still working. I was a mechanic, and I was working full time. Was I working 8 till 5? Then going to the gym, and the gym was in where was it? Alperton. We used to use Kettle's gym in Alperton.
Yeah.
So I'd go work from 8 till 5, then go to the gym. If I hadn't been for a run, I'd finish my run and then go for a run after training. If I had a fight coming up, I'd have to go and sell my tickets after I finished training and running. And that went on for a good few years because I never really got sponsored. I had a few little sponsors here and there.
Yeah.
But that didn't really go on until I won my English title.
So you're dedicating yourself to it, but again, it's not a great reward until you sort of get a lot further down the line. You don't go get a pro and get a fucking contract with someone, do you? You know what I mean?
No, because it's hard unless you're on a TV deal with boxing. Then that's when you can earn the money. Like, there's good money when you're on TV. If you're not on TV and you're on non-TV shows, then there is no money in the game. Literally, you have to work. Like, for instance, if me and you was fighting, they'd say, well, John, you've got to sell £2,000 worth of tickets, and out of that, you get 1,500 quid.
Right.
And that's how it goes, and that's how it went up till I won. What did I have to get? Yeah, until I won defended my English title, basically. So I had most of my fights earning very little money.
I've always wondered this as well. It's another part of it. You've got to be so focused on. I mean, I've never. I was always. Well, I was going to say I was a lover, not a fighter, but I've never been either. You know, the thought of getting bashed up, it hurt me. I just want to go back after the blow and not leave it. You've got to have a little bit of hardness about it, a little bit of respect, haven't you? Like, and decorum, but also like you said, selling the tickets and stuff like that. Like, does that distract you sometimes from what you actually the fucking job at hand?
So yeah, it's sometimes it's frustrating, especially when you're fighting for titles and you have to sell a certain amount of tickets to get paid. And when you because us being Millwall fans, everyone leaves everything till last minute. So I might sell down, like say 50 tickets, and I'll have like a week to go, and I'll be thinking, shit, I'm not going to get paid for this fight. I'm not going to be able to fight. And then all of a sudden, within that week, I've sold 200 tickets, and then all of a sudden I'm paid then. But yeah, it's a lot of the last week of a fight. It's very stressful because you're trying to sort out all your tickets, you're trying to make weight, you're trying to focus on your fight. You're just trying to get everything right, but at the end of the day, you're more worried about tickets rather than anything. But then, as another point, it might take your mind off the game a bit more, so you're not really concentrating on the fight as much.
Nice and relaxed sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, Millwall fans. Obviously, you're renowned for having a big Millwall following, singing your songs at the at your fights and that. Obviously, you know, it must mean a lot to you have the Millwall fans behind you.
Listen, I don't know any other Millwall boxer who's had a support like me. You know, they're fantastic. And it has been, well, for me, it's been a blessing, you know. I love it. And when you're out there and you hear that roar, it just gives you like the hairs and stuff, like back of your neck stand up. Even Bradley Ski used to say to me all the time, I can't wait for you to fight. He went, I just love it when they, because he didn't know it was a roar, but when they go that, meh. And I love it when they do that. And also he'd walk out next to me every time. And then when he used to hear it, he used to punch me on the arm and go, yeah. He used to love it. And whenever I used to walk into a changing room or a gym, literally everyone would go, meh. That was, you know, it was good. Yeah, so, and you can't beat it. You can't beat a Millwall crowd no matter where you go.
It's definitely a bug thing that catches on, mate, in it as well. Did you not say Bradley Skett, come down to Denver, you'll see it done proper, do you know what I mean?
I did say to him a few times, come to a big game against like Leeds or someone. He went, yeah, I'll have to, but he ain't come along yet. I'll have to drag him along one day.
Let's talk about your professional fights. 27 fights, 24 wins, only 2 losses, one early and then one near the end, and 1 draw. That is a great record, mate. Really good record. And I used to know about your boxing, not just because I was a Millwall fan, because I grew up with a couple of your cousins, Jodie and Drew. So you can't, you can't miss it on their Facebook page, especially Drew. She's absolutely loved it. You just a long time you kept winning and winning, but not really getting the shots you should have got. Was that wrong to say that?
No, to be a lot of people have said that, but then that I think that was the curse of being a Millwall fan. Sad as it is to say, because every time I had a fight, it was like, he brings a big Millwall crowd. But then I was always in that predicament where you want me to sell tickets. I sell tickets. I bring a great atmosphere. Everyone always complimented me on my like the crowd I bring. But they go, but you're going to bring Millwall fans. They're all lunatics. Like they'll smash the place up. I think not one fight has there been where there's been a fight. You know, this went on for years. I think I had. When did I fight for my British title? The only fight there was a British title, and that was just due to one of them things. But up to that, I had 20 odd fights, not one bit of trouble. And every fight, I still had, you bring a Millwall crowd, there's going to be trouble. I even got banned from the Coronet on Old Kent Road. I was a boxer a lot on the Old Kent Road, and I got banned from there in the end because they said there was a massive fight, and there weren't no fight. And it just turned out I knew the bouncer, and I got him to look into it. He went, no, there weren't no trouble. And then he went higher up to the head office, and they said, no, there weren't trouble. We just heard he brings big Millwall crowds. We don't really want him in here.
Fucking hell. Can't win then.
So it was one of them. They asked you to sell tickets. They wanted to bring a good crowd, but then if you're a Millwall fan, you're scum, basically. And that's how it was.
Fucking hell. Let's talk about fucking well, mate. I'm saying I'm off. I can't believe that. I don't know why I'm surprised because we know how it goes with us. Let's talk about your titles. Your first one, Southern Area.
Yeah, it's a good fight. Yeah, Adam Battle. Adam Battle, good fight. It was a 50-50 fight. Very cocky. Thought he was going to knock me out, but it didn't go his way.
do you like partake in all that, all the trash talk and all that? You're not really that sort of geezer, are you?
Not really. I try not to get too emotionally involved. I know obviously I'm in there fighting, but boxing's weird because if you use it to hit me out on the street, I'd lose my temper and I would really like go off my head. But in a boxing ring, for some reason, I just couldn't lose my temper. I don't know why. I suppose it's the discipline, but I just never lost my temper.
Calculated as well, won't you? Because you can lose your head, go running in, you could get caught.
Yeah, that's. I don't know what it is, but I just never lost my temper. So if you used to hit me on the street, then I'm going off my head. But so yeah, I didn't really get into all that trash talking. And everyone used to say to me, "I say this, say that." I used to just think I'm here to fight. When I come, I'm never going to back down from anyone, and I'm never going to quit. So and I want to come forward fighter. So I'm always going to be in a good fight. I don't need to talk. And then I think over the years, when I started to get shown on TV, people did realise that. I
read an article today where you said that. You said you kept coming forward so much. Your trainer just said, "Look, just stand off. Sometimes back off a little bit." You didn't want to do it, but in the end, you said you made it such a good fight, such a better fight for it.
Well, yeah, when I first turned pro from amateur, I knew I needed to work on my defence because obviously I ended up with a nose like this, and I had a few injuries as an amateur from fighting, and then Alan Smith, a great coach, and Eddie Lamb, both quite defensive coaches. So I went there, and then for the first year, every time I stepped forward, it was back off. I'd stop the spar there and then go backwards. I was like, no, go backwards. It was either go backwards or hold the centre. So I weren't allowed to go forward. And at first I struggled, but I thought I'd just keep with it because I've got to learn. And then, it slowly started to pay off.
I mean, is 18? I mean, I don't know a great deal about boxing. Is that a late age to come into boxing? 18 years old for the first time ever to come into the boxing ring?
I wouldn't say it was my first time ever. I'd obviously been there every now and then with my cousin, but I've never really took up it properly. But I don't think so. I think it's quite a good age, to be honest, because you get a lot of great junior kids and they get to 16, 17, they start realising birds and alcohol, and then they go the other way and they've just lost all their, how good they was. It's happened to so many kids, and I think I was sort of just in the mix, and I got to a point where I think, what do I want to do? And obviously I chose boxing.
Yeah, and it paid off, mate. You get your second title, the vacant English welterweight title against Ryan Fields.
Yeah, that's a good fight, yeah.
Through that one.
Another one everyone expected. I remember I got that fight because who did he fight? I can't think who he fought. I was in Birmingham to watch Bradley Skeet fight Sam Egerton for the British title. And then my trainer texted me because I was in the crowd, and he said, "Watch this next fight. You've got the winner." And it was for the, I think it was a vacant Midlands area title. And then obviously Ryan Fields knocked him out. And as soon as he got it, they said he's got the Garton. And I remember on Twitter, all the boxing people was going, "Oh, he's going to knock Garton out. He's too big. He's too strong." And then, and I remember when I got him, I thought, he ain't that strong, really. And then I caught him with a lovely left hook. I thought they wanted it to be punch of the year or knockout of the year. And it was good. It was a good shot.
Brilliant, mate. You feared no one then, did you? Obviously, say he wasn't maybe the most experienced to start off with, but then just come into your own. Have you got to have no fear going into that ring?
I don't see the point of being a boxer if you're scared to fight people. It don't make no sense, does it, really?
No.
And it was bred into me. Like, even you ask Drew or Jody, I think all my family from kids, it was bred into us. If someone hits you, you hit them back. And so if I was in a pub, I ain't going to ask them, "Well, how big are you or what weight are you?" Or, if someone hits you, you just hit them. Yeah, so that's been my mentality. If I'm going to fight anyone in the pub, then I'll fight anyone in the rings, and that's just how I've been brought up.
Yeah, no, I do.
It don't help with Millwall fans, does it?
No, I do know your family, mate. They're a lovely but lively bunch, shall we say?
Yeah, very lively.
So that last fight against Fields, where was that? Because you fought a lot of times at York Hall. What's it like to fight there?
York Hall, I love York Hall. He's very very compact. It feels like the crowd are in the ring with you. When when they go off it, you do hear it bad in there. It's good.
The next two titles you win is one as an IBF European welterweight title, and obviously in 2018 you win the British welterweight title. Now, you was obviously ecstatic to win both, but which one would you say you enjoyed winning the most?
British title. The British title was my all-time dream, and I never thought I was going to win it. To be honest with you, I just thought it was one of them titles I always dreamt of, but I'd never win it. And when I remember when I won it, I went back to the change room. I cried my eyes out.
Well, really, but do you know what? I knew that was going to be your answer. So I don't really know loads about boxing, but I've looked at the stats. IBF European welterweight or British welterweight, and I just from the both sets of footage, I could see you as slightly more, but like that was your dream was the second one. So why is that for a non-boxing person? Why is that better than a European title? That's just a question I got for myself.
Well, to be fair, it's not the Europeans, it's the IBF European title. So to be honest, it's just a made-up title just to make more money.
Oh, fuck me, all right, fair enough.
That's all it is, because basically you got the 4 world titles, which is the WBO, the WBC, the IBF, and then they've all now made their other little belts to go off it. And obviously that is just the European version of the IBF.
With you.
So, and then they stripped me. I won it, and then they stripped me straight after because I didn't defend it in time or something like that. So, well, not straight after, but a couple of months after, because I didn't defend it, they stripped me of it. So, yeah.
So how many fights are you supposed to be having, roughly?
You ain't really got to have, unless you sign a contract, you ain't really got any.
Really?
Because I think with Frank Warren, I was fighting. What was I signed for? I think I was a 3-year deal. It weren't really. I think it was meant to be like 4 fights a year, but then that didn't bloody happen. So, but there's always like a sort of a clause in it. They're very clever the way they do things.
What was he like to deal with Frank Warren? What, he sucked you in almost, or not? Nobody's saying that.
No, to be honest, I never really had much to do with Frank Warren. It was all through the manager. I spoke to my manager every now. I've never really spoken to him either, to be honest. I just said, tell me when I'm fighting, and we get on with it, and tell me who I'm fighting. And that was that.
What would be your preparation going into a fight, like for a pro fight? What would be your preparation? How long before was you proper, or was it every day anyway? Before you really hit the skids.
I was always in the gym. I was a gym bug, to be fair. I think that was probably my downfall for a lot of fights. So I was always in the gym. I think in 8 years or so, the longest I had out of the gym was 2 weeks. Jesus. So I'd literally have a fight. A minute I had my stitches taken out, I was back in the gym. So but it was my downfall. And then when I trained for a fight, I'd taper over and stay reasonably fit. But then when I got a date, I used to train like a lunatic. And then again, that was probably my downfall as well. But I just used to think I ain't the most skillful fighter, but no one to beat me on fitness. So it's just worked my arse off, basically.
Yeah, fair play, mate. Let's talk about you winning that British welterweight title against Gary Corcoran. Have I said that right?
Corcoran.
What, mate, I watched that. What's a fight?
That was a great fight. Yeah, great fight. It's like a football match, to be honest with you. But it was. It's just a match. It's weird because it's like a big bubble to me. It's quite hard to explain. It's just I could hear.
You're mates with him. You're good mates with him.
Not good mates with him, but I knew him. I sparred him before, got on well, and then he had just lost. Well, I'd say just lost. He'd lost for the world title against Jeff Holm, who beat Manny Pacquiao.
Right.
So when they phoned me up, I was in my house, and they phoned me up. I said, "We got." I took that fight with little money as well. I won't say how much, but it was like not as much as I should have got. And they phoned me up and they said, "We got a fight for you for the British title." I said, "I'll take it." And they went, "It's against Gary Corcoran." I said, "Well, I'll definitely take it." And they went, "The money's not good." I said, "The 2 things I've always wanted to fight. I've always wanted to fight Gary Corcoran just because we'll have a good fight. And the British title was my dream." I said, "So if it comes to it, I'd fight for free." And they went, "All right, we'll take it." And I took the fight, and it turned out to be a possible fight of the year, which, it was a cracking fight.
Right, for mate.
The whole night was just a good night.
Yeah. Talk us through it, mate. Talk us through everything.
Well, where do I start?
If you can.
Well, obviously there was fights in the crowd as well, and I'm pretty sure you knew about that. But me being from Peckham and a lot of boys from Peckham and Millwall and that, and then him being a traveller, just not a good combination. I don't think the police helped in that matter, because I was getting phone calls for 2 weeks solid of Essex Police, Metropolitan Police, BT Sports, Frank Warren. Like, literally, you name it, everyone was phoning me up. We heard you're bringing loads of Millwall fans. I was like, I always bring Millwall fans. We heard you bringing this. I mean, I always bring Millwall fans. There's never any trouble. And then when I turn up, that's when I say it was like a football game. There was meat wagons everywhere, old Bill everywhere. I was getting searched. Like, you always get searched going into it, but the way they searched me was ridiculous. And then when someone went, "Oh, that's the Millwall boy," I got searched again. So I think the whole thing about it just made a bit of tension and got everyone back a bit. Yeah, and obviously rail people every morning. The fight happened, and then I think me and Gary pretty much went at it from round 1 or 2, and then that's when it just went off everywhere. Then they all calmed down, and then I think everyone just focused on me and Gary then, because what a fight it was.
Yeah. Are you aware of this? What's going on? I was going to ask, obviously, before I remembered the violence in the crowd. You know, when you said before they're chanting like "moo," can you hear that, or do you zone out at times?
You do hear it. You do zone out, but you do hear it as well. You can't not hear it really. But then when it was fighting as well, you could hear the fighting, and you could hear the fella on the mic like he's basically ringside saying, "Stop the fighting! The fight will be stopped." I was thinking, "Drop me out." And then. The one thing I remember, I went back to the corner. I think it was either the second or third round, and my gum shield for the first 2 or 3 rounds, to say, it always used to dry my mouth out really bad. Then I've gone back to the corner, and I'm going like, Ed gets a drink, and I ain't hearing him. Ed gets a drink, still nothing. I went, Ed gets a drink. I've turned around, and he's standing there looking like that. He went, "Oh, sorry, I was watching the big fight." And then my coach Al turned around and he swore at him, "You fucking idiot, don't tell him that." And he went, "Sorry, John," and just give him a drink. But yes, I definitely know there was a fight happening.
Oh, unbelievable, mate, unbelievable! And when you won the fight,
I stopped him in the 11th round.
Brilliant. Well,
it was good
unbelievable, mate. The roar as well from the crowd.
It went mental. But the way the lights was, I couldn't really see the way the lights was in the Brentwood. I couldn't really see out to the crowd. So when you looked out, all you see was bright lights. All you could just see was bright lights and just madness, basically. And then in the ring, it was just going crazy. So yeah, it was a good night. Yeah, it's just
Celebrate long into the night and the next day.
Well, after a fight, my coach used to say, "Don't drink after a fight," because obviously, if you've got a bleed on the brain or something, no one will really know. So I never used to drink after a fight. But everyone used to meet up in a pub, and I'd go back there and meet after. And I think, where did we go? We all went back to the Blue Anchor. We went back to the Blue Anchor, got back there, everyone was paralytic. I'm sitting there sober as a judge, face stitched up. It was good. It was good.
And then by this time, of course, you get recognition from the club. You get paraded on the pitch. What was that day like for you and your family?
Yeah, it was, well, I've been on the pitch a few times, to be honest, but I think when I went, I got to take my little girl on the pitch as well, so that was nice to see me, to bring my daughter down to Millwall and things like that, and then actually people to recognise you. I remember I've been to Millwall a few times when I was in the southern area, and I've always been recognised, but then I remember when I walked onto the pitch, everyone sort of cheered, so that was nice. So, yeah.
You're the champ now. I've seen a few people say this before in different sorts of sports. Tyson Fury, one example. Once he got to that dream, he just like, I don't know what to do now. What was your thoughts after once the dust had settled?
I don't know if you win, but the British title, you have to win it and then defend it 3 times to keep it.
Right.
And so that was my goal then, to defend it 3 times. But obviously, sadly, never went my way.
No.
It's just one of
the stupid question. I don't want to ask you what that was like, because obviously after all the hard work to win it, it's fantastic. Obviously, you must have been gutted to not defend it.
Yeah. Well, I actually where was it? We boxed at Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah.
So they hadn't been boxing there in like years. So to box there, and I remember going for the promo and all that. I thought, this is the nuts here. Like I've hit jackpot here. And then I also found I knew I was fighting Chris Jenkins. I knew Chris Jenkins' style was wrong for me, and but I still believed I was going to beat him. I was still confident. I trained hard, but yeah, I don't want to make excuses because I don't want to take nothing away from Chris, but I wasn't right for that training or for the fight, and then obviously he beat me, and then I think I needed to lose basically to sort myself out, and I think I was just pushing myself too much in the gym. If I had an injury, I'd ignore it and just carry on pushing through it, and then I think on that night I had a few. They didn't affect me in the fight, but where I was getting frustrated and I was out of time and blah blah blah, and then I started to notice this injury and that injury, and I just think the frustration, everything built up on me on one night, and yeah, it was just one of them things really. So then after that, we had to sit back, have a chat, and try and sort out a few things. I had a rest, which I think I needed. I think I had about a 2-month rest, which I needed. Then I had another fight. I come back, and everyone said I rolled back the years.
Yeah.
And then I was due to fight Chris Jenkins for the rematch, but he'd gone on to win the Commonwealth title as well.
Right.
So I was due to fight him at the O2 for the British and Commonwealth title. And to be honest, I was 100% sure I was going to stop him. I was 100% sure I was going to stop him. I was so confident. I hadn't been that confident in a good few years. I just felt brilliant. And then COVID kicked in.
Yeah, it's bollocks, man. So a couple of things to pick up for there that I wanted to ask you. You said first time you wasn't that confident with his style. Did you feel you learnt enough from the first fight to turn it around in the second? Or was you just mentally better and stronger?
Not really. I think the rest. I think where I had the rest after I lost, I think that opened. Like I knew when I had the rest, I realised I can't keep pushing myself day in, day out, like 100 miles an hour. And that was part of the thing we done when I was training. If I was overdoing it, we'd ease back for the next day, or when I was going track. Usually put me on the track, I'd just do, if they say do 400 metres or 800 metres, however many times, I'd run it as fast as I can every time. And just leave it all on the track, really. And then after that, you say, all right, slow it down. We'll aim to do it in a time. And you're not allowed to go faster than that time or slower than that time. Right. So I wasn't, and obviously age kicked in. So we had to be a bit more clever with it. And I used to spar 3 times a week. We dropped that down to 2 times a week. So I was a bit more fresher. And I think just where I got a bit older, weren't recovering as quick. We just had to change things. And then I think it had a massive help, and I think it showed when I boxed in December, and throughout my training for the second fight, I think it was starting to show. And I think we just got it all right, and obviously the fight never happened.
I really sympathise with you. Like, I'll take me off to anyone as a sportsman, but especially as, for example, a boxer, you're in a single person sport. I know you've got your trainer and your team behind you, but like you just said, if it's football, there's 11 of you. If one of you's a little bit off your game, carrying a little knock, the others can carry you through, can't they? Maybe, but it's all on you, isn't it? It's a big fucking responsibility to take. No one can help you out, mate, once you're in there.
No, to be fair, like injuries and things like that, I'm never really used to let them get to me too much. I'm one of them people who can bite down my gumshoe to get on with it. Like, I've had a hand injury for, say, about 6 years. Like most of my title fights, and I've had a hand injury I've always had problems with, but I just never let it affect me. I had a rib injury for 3 years. I've still got it. I sparred the other day. I sparred last week, and I got in the rib, and I thought, oh, my rib's gone again. But so there was always little injuries I had, but I just wouldn't let them affect me. I just hadn't been. I think with frustrators, well, I think I was a bit fatigued. That's the word. Yeah, I think I was a bit fatigued in for the fight. So I was at half a pace behind, and then when I was getting frustrated with it, I think that's when my injury started to flare up, just through frustration, basically.
Talking about your sparring, just going off that subject slightly, we'll stick him with the sparring. I put it out on social, obviously, Dave was coming on, and a couple of people said, ask him about the time he sparred with George Groves. Groves openly admits Johnny bashed him right up. Is that right?
Yeah, I did go over it. I used to go to Adam Booth's quite a lot for sparring, because Adam Booth and Al Smith, my coach, are good mates. So We used to go over the sparring. Sam Webb was sparring. George Grove was, I can't remember what fight it was for. But then they said, I was warming up to spar someone. They said, you just jump in and do a couple of Groves. And I went, all right. And I've known Groves for years, and he never seemed that big. And I remember I got in the ring, I thought, oh, he's grown in here. He just seemed to get massive. And I thought, fucking hell, I'm going to have to stick it on him. I can't be at the end of his punch. But basically, all I'd done was just didn't give him no room and just sat on his chest, basically, and just been a basically a pain in the arse. And he's obviously done the interview. I thought he forgot about it, to be honest. It didn't seem that much of a big deal. But then he said in the interview the other month, it was something that played on his mind. So, big compliment.
Yeah, fair play to him for holding his hands up. So again, for someone who doesn't understand boxing totally, is he the same weight as you?
No, he's like 3 weights heavier.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So how can you spar him? You done a number on him, but if you fought him in a professional match,
I think if it's a proper fight, he would have knocked me spark out. But it's the thing with boxing, when you come up against punchers, and everyone seems to think, stay away from a puncher. But then for me, I was talking about this the other day to someone. I've always thought, with a puncher, the last thing you want to be at is the end of their shot. So if I got in with someone who was a big puncher, I'd get up close to him.
Of course. And
everyone used to think, Carl, you're off your head, you get up close to a puncher. But I'm actually being smart because I'm not giving him his range. If you're at the end of it, if you're running from someone, you get caught at the end of that punch, you're out cold. But then if you don't let him get that range and just rough him up and mess him up, then they start to get frustrated and they can't get their punches off. So,
it makes sense.
Yeah, you look braver than you are, really.
That makes sense to me, mate, even a non-boxer. Your last ever fight, let's talk about that. Let's talk about it all. Myself and some others thought that would be the comeback fight, ended up being the final fight. So
I thought
what led you to that decision?
Well, what happened was, what was that fight? Was that a 6 or 8 round? I can't remember. I think it was a 6-rounder. Obviously, I had me loss, and then I had a break, and then obviously I said I still want to carry on. And my coach, Al Smith, and my manager, they wasn't too sure, to be honest. They said, we think you've had too many tough fights. Like, you're getting on a bit. Think about it, really. So then I was convinced. I said, no, it was a bad day in the office. Like, let me prove it. So they said, all right, we give you a fight and we need you to perform. So I went, okay. So then as I said, we changed my game, the training plan. So I worked down 100 mile an hour every day. And then, what was it? Yeah, and it was all going fine. And then what happened? Well, I think I had a change of opponent last minute because, my missus was pregnant at the time, and placenta ruptured. Jesus. So she was rushed in for emergency C-section. So then for 2 weeks I was staying in the hospital with her, looking after her and the kids. And then obviously when I've told me, coach, he said, all right, don't worry about your weight, this, that and the other. I think we ended up fighting at middleweight, which is 2 weights above me.
All right.
He said, but you still need to perform and this, that and the other. And I got in there, and when I boxed, after I got out of the ring, I went, God, you've really rolled back the years now. They said, you ain't looked that good in years. Like, you stuck to the game plan. And then Chris Jenkins' manager was there, funny enough. And he come up to me, he said, oh, you look brilliant there, John. He said, what is it? Yeah, you look brilliant there. Like, you look back to your youth. We'll give you your shot. And he said, you've got your win now. You can have another shot. Like, you give us the opportunity, we give you an opportunity back. And then the deal was done. So Chris and his manager agreed to it. It's all signed up, ready to go.
And then?
And then COVID.
But then during COVID, am I wrong in saying you've retired?
Yeah, well, that was due basically. I think I was 3 weeks away from fighting Chris Jenkins in a rematch.
Yeah.
And then COVID kicked in. They postponed the fight. Obviously, I never got paid out for nothing. Just paid a 5 weeks training camp. So that all come out of my own pocket. And then we was in the process of buying a new house as well. And then that just went through. 2 kids. But lucky enough at the time, we had sold our house and we was living with Gemma's mum and dad.
Big Millwall fans, by the way. Big Millwall fans.
Massive Millwall fans, yeah. So, yeah, thankfully that I weren't having to pay out nothing, because they said live with us, save up some more money until you find somewhere to buy. And we'd put an offer into somewhere, we just waiting for it to go through. So lucky enough, when the fight fell through, I wasn't really paying out much. It was just literally car bills, kids, food, and etc.
Yeah.
And then the house went through, so then that went through. And then we moved in. Well, we went to move in, and the house needed so much work. Like, literally needed complete rewiring, needed complete, like, you name it, it needed doing. So then that skinnied me. We had to borrow money, this, that, and the other. Then they offered me the Chris Jenkins fight behind closed doors. It was meant to be on the first BT Sports show.
Yeah.
Because there's no crowds, they said the money isn't good. And the money offered me was it was terrible, to be honest. So I thought, I've boxed for little money before, and I thought I can't really do it now. So I just said I can't really, and I can't take that. So they said, all right, hold on a bit. So I went to get a job, and then couldn't get no jobs because there's no jobs going around in the first lockdown. But I managed to get a job with Amazon. So I was doing deliveries with Amazon.
Yeah, I know.
And then
done that, jumped on it.
Yeah, so I done that, but then the hours I was finishing was too late, so then I couldn't train. And I just thought, if I can only train 3-4 times a week, to be honest, that's not good enough. And I love this sport. I wouldn't do anything to tarnish it. So I just thought I'd call it a day. I was used to training twice a day, 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah.
To train 4 times a week, like, all in all, I thought I can't do it, and I ain't gonna disgrace myself by doing that. And I just thought I better call it a day.
Yeah, it's a shame. So I've been there as well, but I've been similar, different situation, but similar in some ways. I was learning to do the knowledge, but I was also getting married, also had another business, also had a kid on the way, and I couldn't dedicate my time to the knowledge that I needed to get it done. Do you know what I mean? So I ended up, well, I'm not even married anymore either, but that's another story. But so is it just a financial situation regarding sponsorship that's preventing you from maybe giving it one last shot?
Not even that, because you can't even really blame sponsors, because sponsors can't really pay out if they're not getting no money themselves. There was nothing going about. So it was just, in general, just bad time, really. Like, the only thing you can really blame is COVID. That's the only thing I can say is COVID. And, you know, if it weren't for that, I would have had that fight. And I honestly believe I would have won that fight. And then, you know, we set up for the fight with Conor Ben then. And then, it's just one of them things, you know.
Yeah, such a. Say you're not. Everyone saying you're old. You're not old. You're 30. What are you, 32?
34. I just turned 34.
Yeah, it's just such a shame, mate. Like, for example, if someone dangled the carrot in hindsight, you know, and said, "Look, 4-5 fight deal on the telly, X amount," would you then go, "All right, I'll have it"?
Yeah, obviously now it'd have to be about the money, because I took so many fights in, like, my early career for literally silly money, like stupid money, just for the fight for that title. And I thought the way I've done my career was, if I win that title, then obviously that opens up the next title. So I slowly climbed the ladder, earning very little money. And then when I won the British title, that's when I started asking for money. But then that's when no one wanted to pay. Yeah. And I thought, I've done everything to get there, now no one wants to pay. But if I got offered a decent payday, then I ain't going to turn it down there.
Nah, it's such a shame, mate. For as dedicated as you were, and for how well you've done, how bad you wanted it to get to the top, COVID to fuck it over. That has fucked a lot of people over. But it was such a shame, mate, to see it end in that way. Do you know what I mean? And I sure as well. I mean, I used to play football, not to a good standard, but the last time I ever played football, I didn't know it was going to be the last time I played football. Do you know what I mean?
No, I definitely didn't think my last fight was going to be my last. Yeah.
So you'd like to know, like, your last fight, at least you know, and then you can soak up every last bit and experience it to the max, wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's my last fight. I just my head was all over the place. I just thought, all right, this is just to get me my title shot again. So that's all it was. It was just a stepping stone, basically. And if I would have known it was my last chance, I'd have really lapped up, enjoyed it. I might have had a dance with the crowd or something. It does leave a bitter taste. It's more, I always said I was going to retire that year. So the fact that that doesn't bother me. It's the way I lost to Jenkins is what really bothers me.
Mm. Well, look, there's a lot of Millwall fans that watch this, and I get sponsored by a lot of Millwall fans. So let's just not for a minute. Let's not say you retired. Let's see what comes of this. But one standout fight, I suppose it would be your win, wouldn't it, for the British title?
Yeah, that is my highlight of my career. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant, mate, brilliant. So, what are you up to now? You looking to stay within boxing if you don't get back in the ring?
Well, I was doing personal training. So I was doing a lot of personal training. I was just starting to pick up my clients, and then obviously we we come into this other lockdown, and then they closed all the gyms and it started snowing. So then that sort of crippled that. So yes, I lucky enough, my old firm, which I was a mechanic for, they offered me a job, so I'm back with them now, doing fleet mechanics and tail lift engineering, and but then I'm still doing my PTs on the side. So I'm going to work some evenings. I'm going to do PTs, and Saturday mornings I'm doing PTs. So I'm still around the gym. I've got to, when things ease off a bit, I'm going to go and get my coach's badge and help out a few of the gyms and just help fighters really if I can.
Yeah, it'd be brilliant, mate. Nothing. Your experience will be absolutely invaluable to them, wouldn't it?
Hopefully.
You'd always get a Millwall crowd to back them as well. That's the good thing. I asked this question earlier on to another fellow I interviewed, but I know what your answer is going to be. Well, I think I do. If you could go back to when you stepped into that boxing ring at 18, you could look ahead into the future and be as successful as you was and won the titles you did, but as a footballer with Millwall, would you change it from being a boxer?
Oh, nah. I'm not really a great football fan, to be honest with you. I just follow Millwall. I love boxing, so I wouldn't change that for the world. But obviously, when you have them big games at Millwall, you can't beat it. So you can imagine what the players must feel like.
Yeah, it must be unbelievable, mate, mustn't it?
Oh, yeah, I'll get buzzing off it in the crowd. Imagine being a player there.
No, unbelievable, mate. John, I've absolutely loved having you on, mate. It's been a really, really brilliant, honest interview. I loved every minute of it, and I genuinely hope you get back into it, mate, at some point. Cheers,
thank you, and thank you for having me.
Legend, mate. Thanks a lot, John.
Sorry, can I give young Danny Cooper a shout out, because I heard he's a big fan of your show.
Yeah, we'll do, mate. Yeah, Danny Cooper. Yeah, I know he's getting about a bit on this show, Danny Cooper. Isn't he?
Tell me about it.
Yeah, nice family.
Yeah, really. As I said, I work with his dad, so his dad says he's always tuning in. So I said I'll give him a shout out.
Top man. And what I'll do is, I'll stick your details or your Insta or what in the description. If anyone wants some PTs, if we ever get this fucking lockdown, then they can give you a shout.
Oh yeah, there's another one for you. There's a young pro coming up, Millwall fan as well. It will be incredible talent, better than me. It's young Michael Burke. So any Millwall fans out there, keep behind young Michael Burke. He's a big Millwall fan, and what a talent.
Yeah, lovely, mate.
Yeah, keep behind him.
Another one off the production line.
Yeah, honestly, this kid can fight. Honestly, seriously, he's a serious fighter.
Just like you. It's about you, mate. Loved having you on. Thanks so much.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Thank you.